The morning rush at Clara's diner smelled like victory and fresh coffee. I wiped down the chrome counter, watching my cousin Marcus's fancy restaurant across the street through the window. His staff was frantically checking their phones, probably wondering why their food deliveries hadn't arrived, again. Miss Clara, Tommy, my elderly regular, called from his usual spot. "These are the best damn eggs I've ever had. What's your secret?" I smiled, pouring him a fresh cup of coffee. "Quality ingredients, Tommy. Speaking of which." I checked my watch. Right on schedule. My phone buzzed with a message from my operations director at Premier Food Distribution, the company I'd quietly acquired 6 months ago. All non-compliant accounts suspended. Effective immediately. Marcus's upscale restaurant, the Golden Fork, was about to learn they were one of those non-compliant accounts, along with every other establishment in his restaurant group that had mocked my little diner. Just a greasy spoon, they'd called it. Small-time cooking, they'd sneered. They had no idea that while they were looking down their noses at my humble establishment, I'd been building the largest restaurant supply empire on the East Coast. Under my professional name, Catherine Wells. The bell above my diner's door chimed. Marcus stormed in, his designer suit looking out of place among my regular breakfast crowd of construction workers and early morning office staff. "Clara," he snapped, "did your supplier say anything about delivery delays? We can't reach Premier Distribution." I continued wiping the counter, hiding my smile. "No problems here. My deliveries arrived right on time." "That's impossible. Premier system is down. Nobody's getting through." "Nobody who's been flagged for account review," I corrected, sliding a plate of eggs to another regular. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "What do you know about it? Maybe if you'd paid attention to my business degree instead of calling it wasteful, when I could be just cooking, you'd understand supply chain management better." His face reddened. "Listen, I don't have time for your—" "Actually," I interrupted, pulling out my tablet, "you do. Premier Distribution is under new management. They're reviewing all accounts for compliance with their new quality standards." "New management?" He scoffed. "Since when?" "6 months ago. Catherine Wells took over as CEO." I watched his face carefully. "Ring any bells?" "Catherine Wells." He frowned. "The restaurant supplier mogul? The one who bought out half the distribution companies on the coast?" "The same." I poured myself a cup of coffee, enjoying the moment. Interesting woman. Started small, built an empire while everyone underestimated her. "Remind you of anyone?" "What are you talking about?" My phone buzzed again. Messages from my executive team. "Operations, Golden Fork Group, all deliveries suspended." "Finance, account audit complete, multiple violations found." "Legal, termination notices ready for distribution." "You know," I said, setting down my coffee, "it's funny how success changes people's perspective. 3 years ago you told me opening a diner was embarrassing to the family name. That I was wasting my inheritance on a joke business." "Clara," he said slowly, realization beginning to dawn, "what did you do?" I pulled out a folder marked with Premier Distribution's logo. "I built something bigger than your restaurant empire could ever dream of being. While you were mocking my little diner, I was acquiring every major supplier in the region." His face went pale. "You're not saying—" "Catherine Wells is my professional name," I confirmed, enjoying his shocked expression. "The one I started using after you and the family made it clear no one would take Clara Thompson seriously in the restaurant business." Marcus grabbed the folder, his hands shaking as he read the documents. The diner's regulars pretended not to watch, but I could see them hiding their smirks behind coffee cups and newspapers. "This is impossible," he muttered. "You can't be. Premier supplies half the restaurants in the state." 3 states actually, I corrected. "And counting. We're expanding to the West Coast next month." My phone lit up with more messages. "Legal, Golden Fork contract violations documented 23 instances. Quality control, health inspection reports compiled multiple infractions. HR, staff complaints against Golden Fork management filed and processed." "Now," I continued, pulling out another document, "let's talk about your restaurant group's compliance issues." "Compliance issues?" He sputtered. "We're your biggest clients in the city." "Were," I corrected. "And that's exactly the problem. You've been using that position to bully suppliers, delay payments and mistreat delivery staff. Did you think nobody was keeping track? I slid a thick file across the counter. 3 years of documented violations, complaints and infractions. Every time his restaurants had demanded special treatment, every instance of verbal abuse toward delivery personnel, every late payment. This is ridiculous, he snapped. I'll just switch suppliers. Good luck with that. I smiled, pouring coffee for another regular. Premier owns or has exclusive contracts with every major distributor in the region. And the few independents left? They won't touch accounts we've blacklisted. The color drained from his face as he scrolled through his phone, presumably discovering that every alternative supplier was now under my company's umbrella. You can't do this, he whispered. The Golden Fork is the most prestigious restaurant in the city. We have awards, critics' choices. I corrected again. It's amazing how quickly restaurant rankings can change when the quality of ingredients drops. Which it will, since you're now restricted to lower-tier suppliers. The diner's door chimed again. This time it was his executive chef, looking panicked. Mr. Marcus, we've got nothing for dinner service. Every supplier has suspended our account. Even the small ones won't deliver. I checked my watch. Right on schedule. You know, Marcus, you really should have read those supply contract terms more carefully. Especially the part about company ownership changes. Clara, he said, his voice taking on that wheedling tone he used when trying to get his way, we're family. Surely we can work something out. Family. I laughed. Like when you told the restaurant association I was just playing at being a business owner? Or when you warned suppliers away from my diner, calling it a risky investment? The door chimed once more. This time it was my executive team, all wearing Premier distribution badges. They looked distinctly out of place in my humble diner, but their presence made Marcus shrink back. Ms. Wells, my CFO said using my professional name, the audit reports are ready. Shall we proceed with account termination? Marcus slumped onto a diner stool, his perfectly pressed suit wrinkled and his usual arrogance deflated. Behind him, his executive chef was still frantically making calls, each one ending in failure as he discovered just how complete my control of the supply chain was. The termination can wait, I told my CFO, sliding a contract across the counter to Marcus. I'm offering them one last chance. What's this? Marcus asked, eyeing the document suspiciously. Your salvation, dear cousin. New supply terms. Though you might not like the conditions. He started reading, his face growing redder with each page. This is outrageous. These prices are triple what we were paying. Premium quality comes at premium prices, I shrugged, refilling Tommy's coffee cup. Or you can try the discount suppliers. Though their quality might not meet your prestigious standards. My phone buzzed continuously now. Restaurant Weekly. Breaking. Premier Distribution reveals new CO. Food and Wine. Catherine Wells' identity revealed, industry shocked. Business Insider. Small diner owner behind biggest restaurant supply empire. There's more, I continued, pointing to a specific clause. Your restaurants will participate in our new fair labor initiative. Living wages for all staff, proper break times, harassment protocols. That'll bankrupt us, he protested. Like you tried to bankrupt me? I countered. Remember last year's supplier boycott you organized? Telling everyone my diner was unhygienic and unreliable? The chef's phone rang. It was Marcus's wife, Sarah, who managed their other 3 restaurants. All our locations. He reported to Marcus, everything's stopped. No produce, no meat, no supplies at all. Even the linen service won't deliver. I smiled. Oh yes, we acquired Metropolitan Linen Services last month. Along with Capital Restaurant Equipment, Garden Fresh Produce, and about dozen other suppliers you depend on. Marcus grabbed the contract again, reading more carefully now. Weekly quality inspections? Mandatory staff training? Community service requirements. Consider it karma, I said, gesturing around my diner. Every person here has a story about how your restaurants treated them. Tommy, tell him about your experience as a dishwasher at the Golden Fork. Tommy looked up from his newspaper. 3 months without a single day off. When I got sick, they threatened to fire me. No breaks, no benefits, not even proper safety equipment. And now? I prompted. Miss Clara gave me a job here. Full benefits, fair schedule, even helped with my medical bills. Marcus shifted uncomfortably as more regulars joined in. They fired my daughter for requesting overtime pay. Called my catering business second-rate to our clients. Cancelled orders last minute, left us with spoiled inventory. Each person here, I said, gesturing to my loyal customers, represents hundreds more you've stepped on while building your prestigious reputation. And they're all going to watch your empire crumble, unless you sign that contract. My phone buzzed again. Sarah was calling me now. I put it on speaker. Clara, what's happening? Her voice was frantic. We have a full booking tonight at all locations. The governor's at Golden Leaf. There's a celebrity chef at River's Edge. I know your schedule, Sarah, I interrupted. I also know about the health code violations you've been covering up. The backdated inspection reports? The expired ingredients you're still serving? All documented. Marcus lunged for the contract, but I pulled it back. Not so fast, cousin. There's one more condition. What now? He growled. You're going to publicly apologize to every small restaurant owner you've harassed. Every supplier you've bullied. Every employee you've mistreated. That's ridiculous. It would ruin our reputation. Your reputation? I laughed. You mean the one built on exploiting workers and intimidating competitors? That reputation's already finished. I'm offering you a chance at redemption. My executive team stepped forward, tablets in hand, showing Marcus the full scope of what I'd uncovered. Fake reviews posted about competing restaurants, bribes to health inspectors, wage theft complaints. You've got 1 hour, I said, checking my watch. After that, every news outlet in the city gets these files. I wonder how your prestigious clientele will feel about their favorite restaurant then. The diner's door chimed again. This time it was reporters. Apparently, word was getting out about Catherine Wells's true identity. Miss Thompson, one called out, can you comment on the rumors that you've acquired Premier Distribution? Care to make a statement about the supply chain disruptions affecting high-end restaurants? Marcus's face went from red to white as cameras started rolling. His carefully cultivated image was about to shatter on live television. Actually, I smiled at the reporters, my cousin Marcus was just about to make an announcement about his restaurant group's new direction. Weren't you, Marcus? He looked from the contract to the cameras, then back to me. 20 years of looking down on my small-time ambitions had led to this moment. The contract, he whispered, reaching for a pen. Please. I'm sorry, what was that? I asked loudly enough for the cameras to pick up. You'll have to speak up. Everyone should hear this. The press conference room at Premier Distribution's headquarters was packed. Restaurant industry reporters, food critics, and local business journalists filled every seat. On stage, a podium displayed both Premier's logo and a smaller version of my diner's iconic sign. Marcus and his restaurant group's management team sat in the front row, looking like children about to be scolded. Behind them, representatives from every restaurant they'd ever wronged waited for justice. 5 minutes, Ms. Wells, my PR director whispered, using my professional name. Through the stage curtain, I could see Sarah frantically typing on her phone, probably trying to salvage their restaurant group's social media presence. Marcus sat rigid in his chair, the signed contract clutched in his hands like a lifeline. The screens behind the podium began playing a video, security footage from their restaurants showing staff mistreatment, delivery drivers being berated, small suppliers being intimidated. Interspersed were clips of my diner's growth, the quiet acquisition of suppliers, and the building of my distribution empire. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice filled the room. Please welcome the CEO of Premier Distribution and owner of Clara's Diner, Clara Thompson, also known as Catherine Wells. I walked onto the stage wearing my usual diner uniform, not the expensive suits they expected. It was a calculated choice. I wanted everyone to remember where I started. Thank you for coming, I began. Today isn't just about revealing who owns Premier Distribution. It's about changing how the restaurant industry operates in this city. I clicked to the first slide. Documented violations from Marcus's restaurant group. For too long, certain establishments have used their influence to bully suppliers, exploit workers, and crush smaller competitors. That ends today. The audience murmured as more evidence appeared on screen. Health violations, wage theft, fake reviews. Everything I'd collected over 3 years. The Golden Fork Restaurant Group has agreed to new operational terms, I continued, watching Marcus squirm. They will implement fair labor practices, sustainable sourcing, and community support programs. But more importantly, I paused, letting the tension build. They will make restitution to every business and individual they've wronged. My phone lit up with notifications. Restaurant empire forced to reform under new supply terms. Small diner owner reveals multi-billion-dollar distribution company. Industry giant Premier Distribution's CEO identity shocked everyone. Mr. Marcus Thompson, I said, making him jump in his seat. Would you like to begin the apologies now? Marcus walked to the podium like a man heading to his execution. His designer suit couldn't hide the sweat staining his collar, or the tremor in his hands as he adjusted the microphone. He cleared his throat, glancing at the contract, then at me. The Golden Fork Restaurant Group acknowledges its past misconduct and accepts full responsibility for our actions. The room was silent except for the clicking of cameras and furious typing from reporters. We have. He swallowed hard, systematically engaged in unfair business practices, worker exploitation, and competitive sabotage. To all those we've wronged, I offer my sincere apologies. From the audience, someone called out, "What about Maria's Cafe?" I stepped forward. Yes, Marcus. Tell them about Maria's Cafe. He gripped the podium tighter. Last year we orchestrated a campaign to destroy Maria's Cafe's reputation. We posted fake reviews, bribed health inspectors, and pressured suppliers to cut them off. The owner, Maria Rodriguez, lost everything. Maria stood up in the audience, her chin high. And now, Marcus pulled out a checkbook with shaking hands. As part of our restitution agreement, the Golden Fork Group will pay full compensation for your losses, plus funding for a new restaurant if you choose to reopen. The next 2 hours were a parade of similar confessions and compensations. Every small restaurant owner they'd crushed, every supplier they'd cheated, every worker they'd exploited, all came forward to receive their due. My phone continued buzzing. Restaurant Weekly, live, Golden Fork Empire falls, justice served. Business Insider, small business victory. David defeats Goliath in restaurant industry. Local news, Clara's diner owner revolutionizes restaurant supply chain. Sarah approached the podium next, her usual perfectly maintained appearance showing cracks. Our River's Edge location, she admitted, has been serving expired ingredients to cut costs. We falsified inspection reports and threatened staff who complained. Starting today, we're implementing Clara's, Ms. Thompson's, comprehensive food safety and worker protection programs. The reporters were having a field day. Years of corruption and abuse were being exposed, with the perpetrators forced to confess their sins publicly. And now, I said, returning to the podium, let's discuss the future.